The Wildes Files is an immigration law podcast. The content shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organization or law firm. Listeners should seek the counsel of a qualified attorney to address specific legal concerns. By listening, you acknowledge that the host and guests are not providing professional or personalized legal advice. Welcome to the Wildes Files. The files are open.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Wildes Files, your go-to podcast for everything immigration law. I'm Josh Wildes, one of the associates here at Wildes Weinberg, and today we're opening up an amazing file, and I'm so excited to be doing this episode with our very own, the Weinberg of Wildes Weinberg, Steven Weinberg. Mr. Weinberg, as he's known, or Steven to me, or Stevie, depending on your relationship with you. Just thank you for everything. I just want to open up by saying that you've taught me so much, and I just feel so lucky to have had this relationship with you. I'm even dressed like you today. I just realized you're an amazing person, and just I know how busy you are, and just thank you for doing this. With that said, we're going to jump right into it because we don't have so much time today, and I wanted to give Steve a chance to kind of go over some things and answer some important questions that a lot of our listeners and viewers might have. So before we do that, do you mind, because not everybody will know who you are or know a little bit about you, can you just share with our viewers a quick snapshot of your career?
Graduated law school, went to Suffolk Law School in 1969, passed the bar in 1970, began working in immigration. Prior to that, in 1969, I fell really into the immigration law practice. When I was in law school, I was on Law Review at the time, and I wrote an article about expatriation because a decision had come out which was very critical of the Ephraim decision at the time, and I wrote an article about that and got a little bit involved with immigration. After I left law school, my first job was with a small immigration firm in New York. At that time, I had left law school and was planning on going out to California, and I didn't have a job in New York, but because I was married and my wife had a job in New York, our plans changed radically, and I was stuck without a position. I went looking for a job. I found a job at a small immigration firm. Sachs Inspector was the name of the firm, and I worked there for 1 year. After working there a year, I decided I wanted more, meaning I wanted a more engaging practice. That practice wasn't on the same level as the practice that Leon Wildes had. Found a job with Leon, and Leon and I began working together in 1971. We were partners until Leon passed away last year. We had a relationship that spanned more than 54 years. It's unusual. Who begins working at such a young age and continues in the same position in the same location for that many years? It's a very unusual circumstance. But like many things in life, haphazardly, without planning, I got involved with immigration. My job, when I began with Leon, really got me interested in it. We became involved with so many interesting cases that I realized that immigration is more than people make it out to be. It's more than just fighting the government who is trying to deport people from the United States. It involves bringing people into the United States who will be able to, let's say, help this country, people who would come into this country who deserve to be here, who wanted a better life. And once I got involved with it, I enjoyed it, and it became a successful practice. I was happy about it.
Yeah, amazing. So over 50 years, you mentioned. I mean, incredible. And like you said, it's a special opportunity to be in the same place for so long. Mm-hmm. I think with the new generation, people like to bounce around a lot.
Without question. Yeah. I'm interviewing people all the time for positions. They might be in their early 30s and had 3 different jobs already. They worked for the government. They worked in 2 other law firms. They worked here and there. If you're fortunate, and I was fortunate, I got involved in a relationship, not only in a position, but in a relationship with someone who was someone extremely well respected. And that gave me the how can I say, it gave me the opportunity to have a goal, and which was to be successful in this field. And thank goodness I was very fortunate with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So are you happy that you stuck with immigration specifically, not necessarily the firm? Did you enjoy working in immigration law and the constant changes?
Look, you can work in the corporate world. You can make a fortune. You could do negligence work, you could do malpractice work. But when you deal in the immigration field, you deal with multiple people, many people, coming from diverse backgrounds. And, as I tell people that work here, not only do we get paid, but we get gratification. We get an awful lot of gratification by helping people. And I think that's what kept me going in this field. The responsibility that you undertake, let's say. Yeah. It's a huge responsibility, huge. You're not just involved with a lawsuit, you're involved with people's lives. People have sacrificed tremendously. Imagine leaving your family, coming to a foreign country, and trying to gain documents to remain here, raising a family here, having all kinds of goals, and the door could be shut so easily in your face. So it really was, or has been, a great experience, and I feel that there's a legacy there. There's many, many people that we've helped, and I get great feeling from it.
And the gratification is an incredible feeling still. I mean, every case that we're involved in is such, there's no better feeling than when you win, because you're really making a difference, and you've impacted thousands upon thousands of individuals and families and communities, and you should really be proud of that.
Oh, yeah, especially now. I mean, in today's world, it's a whole different circumstance. People are worried about things they shouldn't even be worried about. But there's a paranoia out there now, and we're involved with helping people, let's say, giving them the information they need to allow them to sleep at night and hopefully protect their families.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to get political at all, but I am curious, because this is such a unique point of the immigration industry, let's say. Is today, or the current climate, one of the, I don't know, for lack of a better word, is this one of the craziest timelines in the immigration law?
I mean, look, we've always had immigration enforcement. We watch TV now, we see these raids that are going on, we see people being taken in custody, but look, that's always been going on. Right. It's always happened, and it has to happen. We have laws, they have to be obeyed. But it's the way it's done now. It's the feeling that the government is generating. You see it on TV. Either leave now or we'll get you and we'll throw you out. This never happened before. People are coming out of the woodwork, and it's so interesting that half the people that call for information don't have any reason to be worried, but they're worried anyhow. They're worried about everything. We have people that are citizens of the United States who are worried. And it is what has happened now is fear has taken over because of not the political situation, but because of the administration's anger at immigrants. Right. And that's what's happened here. And it's a feeling that everyone has, that everyone's mad at them. Yeah.
But it's important for people like me and our listeners and viewers to hear that this is something that's always been going on. So even though it feels really scary, there's always been enforcement, and this is something that you've been dealing with for over 50 years. So people need to take a little bit of a deep breath.
I mean, look, what we are now experience is a feeling that even legal immigration is not good.
Right.
Even legal immigration is not good. And it's been proven over and over again that legal immigration helps propel this country forward.
Of course.
And it is something that we're going to have to get over, and I believe that we're losing and going to lose out because of our discouraging people from coming here legally and working legally in the United States.
I guess we can only hope that the rhetoric and the conversation changes, and I'm sure it will.
Definitely.
Because it's like a pendulum. It kind of goes back and forth, and hopefully we'll find middle ground and learn to respect one another no matter what. But turning over to another conversation, I know you've spoken about this a million times, so I'm sorry that you have to sound like a broken record, but I do want to make sure that we have this conversation. Over 50 years practicing immigration law, who was the most iconic client you ever worked with, and what was it like?
Well, I started again in 1971 with Leon, working in this practice. In 1972, we became involved with John Lennon. So obviously, without any question, the most influential client, with most notoriety, is John Lennon. It is something that we did for between 72 and 76. I was a 27-year-old rookie lawyer when my partner called me into his office one day and said to me, "Steven, who is John Lennon?" I asked him, well, he's one of the Beatles. What do you want to know? Well, why are you asking me this question? He says, we're going to go meet him in a little while because he's having an immigration problem. So without question,
Right.
John was I would say it's interesting, the highlight of my career. So I'm 27 years old. I'm now 80. And the highlight of my career occurred 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's what happens sometimes in life. But by representing John, we then expanded into other people of fame, let's say in the music industry, Joe Cocker, Donovan, George Harrison, and a number of other people that we represented. And that's, in a way, the highlight, only because it still comes up.
Yeah.
It's amazing, as I said, to do something so many years ago, but it's still getting notoriety today.
Yeah, it's I can't ever get over the fact that my grandfather didn't know who he was, but no internet, no social media, so I understand that. Here you are, 27 years old. I'm sure you knew who the Beatles are, and you thought he was probably crazy.
Well, he said to me, "We're going to meet them now. You're going to come with me." They were staying at the Sherry Netherland, which is on 57th Street, and we're on 53rd Street. We'll walk over there, and we'll see them. And just a short recap, we went in to see John Lennon for my first time. Leon had met them once before, and we walk into a suite at the Sherry Netherland Hotel, and John is laying in bed. Yoko's laying next to him in bed. It is a pull-out couch in the living room of the suite. John is playing a guitar. He has earphones on, and he's watching television. and he's questioning us at the same time.
Right.
Ask us, and it just was an amazing experience that to this day I still relive in my own mind.
Yeah, I can't even imagine walking in. You think it's a random Tuesday, and my grandfather turns to you and says, "Hey, we're going to meet the most famous person in the world."
I couldn't wait to get home. Tell my wife what was going on.
That's unbelievable. Sorry, guys, just 1 second. You gotta take it. Okay, cool. If you gotta step out,
It's all right. No.
So working with John Lennon, obviously it doesn't get much bigger than that. But is there any other case or individual, and maybe it was something smaller, something more emotional, that really sticks with you on a personal level?
Well, one of the cases I worked on years ago was the matter of Peter. Peter was a well-known figure in New York in the 80s. He was called the Club King. He ran a number of discos and clubs in New York. These clubs were continually in the news, and it was said that Mayor Giuliani had a vendetta against Peter because of the activities that were going on in these clubs. And one day we were sitting in my office, I remember, and I got a call from Ben Brofman. Ben was at the time and still is one of the biggest criminal lawyers in the country. Yep. He said to me his client is Peter Gatien, and Peter has disappeared. And it echoes what goes on today. What he meant by disappeared was Peter was picked up, and we cannot find him anywhere. No one will acknowledge that they have him. Well, Peter was picked up, and the reason why was that he had a conviction of a criminal matter. He was found guilty of failure to pay sales tax. There were large fines, and this was a plea bargain based upon the fact that Peter would pay some money and he would not have to serve any time in jail. Peter and Ben were happy to take this plea, and they went merry along. Well, this was considered by the government to be an aggravated felony. They did not realize the consequences of taking a plea that had no jail time to it. And eventually, Peter was picked up, taken into detention, and held. He was held without bond because the government said he committed an aggravated felony.
Right.
And there is no bond. Well, that's a disaster. If you're held without bond, as they are doing in many of the situations today, and you want to fight the government, deportation proceedings could take months to years to complete while you are in detention. I remember clearly arguing for a bond hearing. It was in Buffalo at the time, and we did it on the phone, which was unusual back then. And I made an argument, basically, which is really not important right now, but I did make an argument that the government couldn't hold him because they waived their right to take him without bond as they let him out of jail initially, and that the government is under an obligation to take people into custody immediately upon their release from detention if they are going to hold them without bond. The judge liked the argument and granted it, and what happened was eventually the case went to the BIA. BIA said that I was out of my mind in making that argument, and the judge was wrong in accepting it. Immediately, they took him back into custody, and once he was taken back into custody with an aggravated felony, Peter decided to leave the United States, and he left the United States. This is a case that I worked on for several years. That's why it stays in my mind so much. What happened in my career is mostly I've been involved more so with legal immigration in the United States than with illegal immigration, meaning deportation hearings, removal hearings, and those type of things. Yeah. To me, that was an important case because that's one that I litigated at the time and had victories, but really didn't have victories in the end.
Right. Yeah, and it's good to hear those too, because not everything has such a happy ending, and it's important
criminal involvement with immigration is extremely problematic.
Yeah.
Many things cannot be waived, and aggravated felonies are one of them. No matter if you have citizen children, citizen parents, or citizen spouse, you still are deportable from the United States. And in today's world, we do not have any prosecutorial discretion. If you are deportable, you are found deported. You are deported, and that's the consequences of today's world.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. The next question I have is, you've been doing this for so long again, and you've worked with so many associates and partners and so many different people in and out of the office. I hate to use the word revolving door, but over 55 years, or whatever it may be, I'm sure it was kind of a revolving door to an extent. But you had a couple of partners, and I'm curious from my own perspective, and feel free to be as honest as possible. Who was the better partner, my grandfather, Leon Wildes, or my father, Michael Wildes?
One thing, it's the opposite. Each one is the opposite, meaning that I came into the office, I had 1 year experience, and I was trained by your grandfather, Leon. Wonderful person to serve under, hard work. It instilled in me the feelings that I have to this day as far as representing people, being honest with people, caring about their circumstances. Your father, on the other hand, was someone that I trained. Right. So you're dealing in a whole different circumstance. The way I looked at Leon is not the way I looked at Michael, who's my current partner. Like I said, Michael came to us with no actual immigration experience, even though he had worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I worked with him, I trained him, and I have a close relationship with him. I mean, I remember when you and your brother were watching 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and watching television in the house, and I can remember to this day. So, of course, there's different feelings. They're different people. Yeah. But they both had the same drive. They both had the need to help other people. And that's I would think, what links them together. Yeah.
And I couldn't have asked for a better answer. So. But yes, we all, and I hope that I have the same drive as them as well, because I really do find the gratification that you mentioned in the beginning from helping people, and there's really just no better feeling from that. If you weren't doing immigration, and just a couple more questions, if you weren't doing immigration, what would you be doing?
Oh boy.
Or is that even too difficult because it's so
I don't even know. It's removed. Yeah. In that I've been in the field for 55 years. So what else would I be doing? I can't say. Right. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know.
That's fair. That makes sense. What about advice for younger attorneys who are just getting out of law school and trying to find themselves, or younger immigration attorneys in general?
Don't be discouraged by battling the government. You have your victories, even though you're going to have your losses today in today's world. The advice really is to put your nose to the grindstone and work hard. Hard work will pay off. Hard work. And that's what I learned from Leon, really. Hard work. Hard work. Put in your hours. He used to work late at night when he didn't have to work late at night, just to be here, oversee what was going on, review the work of others. And I could just say, dedicate yourself. If you're lucky, find something that you like. Don't work in the corporate world if you can't stand it. Go out there, defend people. Positions in the government are wonderful to take to begin your career. Learn from the government. Learn your field. Scholarship, that's all I can tell you.
That's great advice, and I think what you mentioned about don't be discouraged about your losses. Lawyers you can be the best lawyer in the world and still not win every case. And the story you just shared with us before is a good example of
You
that.
definitely lose. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. You
And-
deal with losers at times, losing cases. But your job is to present the facts as best you can and to create the best environment for your client. And that's what we have strived to do here.
And then it's ultimately also how you get back up and what you learned from that experience and the arguments that you take into the next proceeding.
Be a
whatever it may
sponge.
be.
Absorb as much as you can.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I try to do that my grandfather was always very good at, is just, this idea of being wise is about learning.
Right.
It's not necessarily about teaching always, but it's really about learning, until the very end. So I try to learn as much as I can. I'm very grateful, and I hate to keep saying these kind of things, but I'm very grateful for the amount that I've learned from you and continue to learn from you to this day. Looking back on your career, what are you most proud of? That's a bit of a hard
Well,
one,
I don't want to say individual cases. I'm very proud of a lot of the work we did and people we helped, etc. But what I'm most proud of is that I worked in a law firm, got involved in the firm, and became a partner to someone that I deeply respected. That is the major accomplishment. The fact that I became a partner, that I've been at affairs with people, parties and such, friends of the family, Leon's family. Remember one fellow said to me, "Let me ask you, how did you two guys become partners? You're very different,
Yeah, you guys are.
You're very different, the two of you. How did you become partners?" And the answer, how would I become a partner? I worked hard, and I gained the trust of my partner to the point where he could finally turn his back on what was going on and let someone else do it.
Yeah.
And it was the trust that got us to be partners, the trust. And life is strange. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
For me, obviously, it worked. 50 years together. It
Amazing.
worked.
Well, we hope to carry on that trust and that legacy that you helped create into the next generation. And, just again, thank you for everything. I want to be curious of your time, so I know you have to go. But any last words that you just want to share? I mean, what's next? What else?
I just hope that the feelings that we have in this country now dealing with immigrants changes. It seems that immigrants have been demonized. They're taking jobs from Americans. They're taking things from us. My feeling really is that that is wrong, that the immigrant population has made this country and will continue to make this country. And if we close our borders to immigrants, we will lose in the end, without any question. The skills that people can bring to the United States are only going to go to other countries. The workers that we need are not going to be here unless we open not our borders, unless we accept the fact that immigration should continue and that it's not harming this country, it is aiding this country. Yes, we can amend the laws, we could change them, but the whole idea, the feeling that immigrants are being demonized nowadays is what I'd love to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve,
Thank
thank you
you
so much. This was a pleasure. This file is officially closed, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Good luck.